4th and goal to go with the 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Takes the snap. Targeted goes in. Targeted all alone. And the quarterback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
Here is Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
All right, baby. Welcome to the Gridiron. If you give this video a thumbs up or maybe share this video, that would be absolutely freaking phenomenal. If you subscribe to my channel, thank you. If not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way next time I go live or if I put a video out, you'll be notified, and it's free of charge. What do you got to lose? It's totally free of charge. But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. If you want to help support my channel, description box below, very top link takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. Each one has their own little perks to them. So once again, if you want to help support my channel, it would mean so much to me. I thank you in advance. Thank you. And then finally, just underneath that, there's another link. Takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. We have over 9,800 members in the group, and it is doing simply marvelous, might I add. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing, and if I got internet access, I am putting stuff in this group darn near 365. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You will not be dissatisfied. I promise. Well, guys, it's about 11:30, so we got about 30 minutes, and that means then it's 30 minutes. Well, actually, it's 24 minutes. 24 minutes. It'll be Tuesday. And what does that mean? That means training camp is in session, guys, girls, gang, everybody. The rookies got to show up. But then that means the following Tuesday, everybody else got to show up. So it's on, guys. It's on, right? So now that there's like this area, the void, right? That we've had 4 or 5 weeks where there's like nothing going on, right? Well, now they'll start being filled with balls getting thrown in the air and get some contact going on and all. Oh man, we're gonna be talking about the the training camp and all that stuff and everything here because we got some certainly on the offense and some defense. I mean, as always, some questions need to be answered without question. But I seen this article. I really don't. I don't see this one happening. Somebody, I forgot who it was exactly, wrote it, article. The problem I have with this one here would be, and the guy who wrote the article, he's got a point. He certainly has a point, as I read the article and all. It's just that, and I cheated, I looked. He's 73. Of course, we're talking about Nick Saban here. 73. Halloween, he'll be 74. So basically this football season, he'll be 74. Now, they're talking about if Daboll gets fired. So after the season's over, Daboll gets axed if he does. Let's hope not, because I hope everything just goes it just goes so well, right? That we don't need another coach, right? I'm sick and tired of getting new coaches. But if Daboll does get fired, right, and we bring in, as crazy as this sounds, Nick Saban, that means next season, during next fall, he will be 75 years old. I mean, to be honest with you, how long is this guy? It wound up being like a Bill Parcells kind of thing. I mean, certain guys only going to be around for so long. Right, I mean, when Bill Parcells, the writing was on the wall. Bill Parcells, he hung in there from with the Giants from 83 to 90. That was, but he was with the Patriots, I think, for 3 years. He was with the Jets for 3 years. He was with the Cowboys for 3 years. So he was almost, after he left the Giants, right, he was almost with the Patriots, the Jets, and as long as he was with the Giants, I mean, it was 9 years with those 3 teams, I believe. I think it was 3, and 3. But it was, 8 years, I think, with the Giants, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88. 89, 90, yeah, 8 years. So, I mean, but, after he left the Giants, yeah, it was with the Patriots for a brief period of time. He kept saying he was leaving with the Giants. He was going to be done coaching with the Giants. And after he left the Patriots, this is my last coaching. He goes to the Jets. This is definitely my last coaching job. Then he winds up surfacing with the Cowboys a few years later. Yeah, but it's the same thing with Saban. How long would he be here? I mean, is he? Is he going to be able to take the roster that we have and make it a winner? Or is he going to have to kind of gut it and get his own guys in there? Right? And you don't even know if he could be a real successful modern day coach in the NFL. Like I said, how long is he going to be able to put into it? 3 years? I mean, by the time, he'd be like 77, 70 years old if he put like a few years into this. I mean, it's like, so I don't know. But I said, let me read this story here. I mean, he has a little bit, this makes a little bit of sense, but I'd have a hard time. The one thing, is the Saban for Kelly, that might have a little more, whatever you want to call it, weight to it, shall we say, than Saban coming to the NFL. You keep seeing these rumors. Of course, that's all rumor, you know what I mean? But, Kelly was supposed to go down there and do some magical things at LSU. Because one of the things that he had was that he realized that, because with Notre Dame, they have so many, standards that they hold, they just don't take anybody. It does, you can be a 5-star recruit, but if you don't have good grades and stuff, I'm sorry, we don't want you. Right? It's not easy. You just can't get into Notre Dame. Right? Not like some of these other schools. And that's why some of these other schools are so good. And, there's certain, restrictions or different that Notre Dame has at other schools. And that's one of the reasons why Notre Dame has a hard time beating these elite schools, as we saw in this latest, college football championship. Notre Dame just doesn't. They don't get everybody. They have a hard time recruiting, as Alabama, LSU, Ohio State. They have a little easier time getting some of these recruits. So it's difficult. But that was the one thing that with Kelly leaving Notre Dame to go to LSU. I mean, Kelly was, he's got I'm never. Kelly did all he could pretty much do at Notre Dame every year, whatever, win pretty much double-digit wins, go to a bowl game or whatever. And that was probably about all he could, because he was probably never ever with the way he could, the recruiting, he could probably never win himself a national championship. So he was just going to keep doing the same thing over and over for the next 10 years. Win 10 more games, be 10-2, go to a bowl game, maybe win it, maybe lose it. And the next year, be 10-2. Go to a bowl game, maybe win it, maybe the following year, 10 game, or 1 year, maybe he'd be 8-4, and next year he'd be 11-1. Then he might be 9-3, he might be 10-2, he might be 10. It was the same thing. Every year it was going to be the same thing, and never win a national championship. So that's why he went to LSU, because you can get those good players, right? And have a chance to win a championship. That's what he wants. I don't blame him. He's coached. He's been a phenomenal coach wherever he's gone to. But, I mean, he's hasn't had that easy of a time. He's kind of noticing you just don't walk in LSU and get the good recruits and all of a sudden you just win. It's not that easy. So he's finding out. So in this article, it talks a little bit also about, maybe if Kelly were to stumble, at LSU, maybe Saban might step in there. Who knows? But let me read this article here. So we got, Giants might just land one of the most iconic coaches in football history if they part ways with Brian Daboll after 2025. Now, also, I mean, I would be thrilled to death if this was college football and we're talking about maybe getting Saban. But once again, he's 73. He's going to be 74. How much effort? How much time? How much his energy is he going to be able to give to another? So who knows? But I mean, it's not always easy, just being a college coach, coming to the pros and winning. Well, he won in the college, so he's got to win no. He won in the pros, so he goes to college. He's got to win in the college. No, he doesn't. No, it's they're real different animals. So some coaches can. Some coaches can't. Right? Especially, if you're coaching young men. 18, 19, 20, you can kind of maybe get away with yelling at them. You come to the big boy league, you start yelling at some of these older guys, some of these older veterans and stuff like that, and it's going to turn them off. So, hey, Coach Brian Daboll knows his job is at stake going to the 2025 season. Owner John Mara explicitly told the media he was running out of patience near the start of the offseason. And if Daboll ends up being fired by the end of the year, it will be coaching search season for the Giants once again. If the latest rumors around the football world are true, one of the most iconic coaches in sports history could very well be in the mix, former Alabama head coach Nick Saban. And according to my fellow A to Z, now who's this? Mauricio Rodriguez. I hope I said their first name right, but his last name is Rodriguez of A to Z Sports. It looks like Mauricio Rodriguez wrote this. I don't know who he is, but okay. So, and according to Mauricio, fellow A to Z sports writer Zach Ragan, the Giants are 2 of 3. Giants are 2. Oh, okay. 2 of 3 teams that make the most sense for Saban, including those in college football. So, according to this article, there's 3 teams that would make sense for Saban to go to. Why Nick Saban could be in the mix for a future opening with the Giants. The math on the Giants side of things is simple. The roster has many holes, and there's a significant probability they won't be making the playoffs this year. In fact, they could realistically end up picking in the top 10 once again. That's a possibility. I mean, especially if we hit with the injury bug and we have a very difficult schedule. Now, theoretically, we could win, I'm just going to say 6 games. Call me crazy, right? Say we're 6-11. I hope not. Hopefully we're better than that. But, right, we'll be picking right around 10, 11, somewhere around there. So, and especially another thing, too, is you got to figure if that thing, we start stumbling out of the blocks, right? We don't take off right away. I don't expect us to, but if we did, sign me up for it. But if we start seeing where maybe the season is lost, then what happens? You might put Jackson Dart in there. And let's not forget what happened with Eli Manning in his 2004, right? We were 5-4. We were right in the playoff mix. But the Giant, and according to Kurt Warner, is what he thought was the Giants, maybe the owners and the coach and all the staff and all, whatever, thought that the Giants, maybe could make the playoffs, but maybe they were not good enough to win a Super Bowl. So why not take advantage of this season, the rest of the 2004 season, and put the rookie in there? Eli Manning. We'll give him the reps he would get would be so valuable. It's not even crazy. But the problem is that, that they lost their first 6 games with Eli in there. They were 5-4, and by the time the next 6 games played out, they went from 5-4 to 5-10. Right, and then they won the last game of the season, so they were 6-10. Well, it could wind up happening here, right? With the Giants, say the Giants or whatever, 5-6. I don't know, whatever. It's not, I don't think, we're not that good. We're not a playoff. Maybe we even make the playoffs. We're going to make the Super Bowl. I don't know. Pull the plug on the season. We go from 5-6. Maybe we win the last game of the season or something, but we go from 5-6 to 5-11. Right? We lose the next 5 games, and maybe we win the last game of the season, or we win the second to last, and we lose the last one, or whatever. But with Dart in there, we could literally go 1-5 in the final 6 games or so if they decide to pull the plug on the season. And once again, we would only win like maybe 6 games. It would seem like a really bad season, but we won twice as many as the year before. But also, we went 1-5 in the final 6 games because we had a rookie in there. Now, if we had Wilson in there, maybe we went 2-4. Who knows? Maybe we would have finished 7-10 instead of 6-11. Who knows? Right? But the roster has many holes, and there's a significant probability they won't be making the playoffs. In fact, they could realistically be picking once again the top 10. If that's the case, Daboll is likely out of the picture in 2026. But once again, you don't know. You don't know, especially if because the Giants in 2004 ended on a high note. That game that the Giants beat the Cowboys in 28-24 at Giants Stadium was as bad as it was. They were 5-2 at one point. They lost 2 close games and they were 5-4. They took Warner out. They put Eli in, but they lost 6 games in a row. So they went from 5-4 to 5-10. But they won their last game. So actually they were 6-10, and they actually kind of in a small way almost ended on a high note because they saw what Eli could do. We got the ball back. We were down 24-21. It was 2 minutes to go or so, whatever it was in the game. Eli drove him down the field. We got down around the 2-yard line or so. Me and my son, we were at the game. We were down we were maybe around the 20-yard line or so, but right where the Giants scored, we were on the sideline. And, they got down around the 2 or so. Eli walks up to the line of scrimmage. I think he went like this. He changed the play. I think he changed it to a draw play to Tiki, right? Nice hole. Tiki walks into the end zone. Giants win the game. But so they almost ended it on a high note. They lost 8 games in a row. They went from 5-2 to 5-10, and they actually walked off the field after the final game feeling like they got something there because they had they had the quarterback of the future, right, which was huge. And, the following year they made the playoffs. I mean, they lost 23-0 at home to the Panthers. That was probably the worst absolute. Well, no, I can't say that. I didn't see the 61 championship game when the Giants lost 37-0. But that game. Well, you can watch it on YouTube actually if you want. That game was really bad. That was really, really bad. If you ever watch that on YouTube. But anyway, so the Giants could actually be 6-11, and actually at the end of the season be kind of walking off like we might have something here because we know we got a defense, right? We're only a couple players. If Dart is the guy for the future, right? We're only a couple players away in offense, right? We need another weapon, whether it's a tight end or a wide receiver. We need another weapon, and somebody else that scares the opponent's defense. That's what we need. And we'll have to look and see what we need as far as on the offensive line. But we got the offense that we have. Hopefully, we can bring back Wandale. We're going to be talking about the offense, but if Dart's the guy, we're only maybe a couple guys away. But we really, really could use another weapon on offense. We had one with Saquon, but we let him go. So anyway, on Saban's side of things, the conversation was kickstarted by a specific rumor that points toward a potential return to coaching from the 7-time national championship winner head coach. SEC Network analyst Greg McElroy said that a person he trusts and is in the know seems to think Nick Saban is not done coaching. Whew. He's pretty adamant that he thinks Nick Saban will be coaching again. Whew. If true, the question becomes where. my colleague Zach Ragan pointed to LSU Tigers, Cincinnati Bengals, and the Giants as the three likeliest landing spots. Now, of course, it's just, you're not going to say the Eagles. You're not going to say Detroit. You're not, there's certain spots you're not going to say because they're not getting rid of their coaches. For the most part, there's a good chance, some of these teams here, the coaches, like Tomlin, just certain guys are just, they're not getting fired after this season, right? But you can possibly say Cincinnati, LSU, and the Giants, right? He said, you just know that Saban hates that he failed in the NFL. Now, he failed it, but he wasn't like he was a coach for like a long time or anything. He was just with the Dolphins for like 1 year, I think it was. Let me see here. Now, he was also an assistant to Bill Belichick when he was a defensive coordinator. When Belichick was with the Browns in the early to mid 90s. Saban was with Belichick. And he did a good job. He did a very good job as a coordinator. Very, very good job. Nick Saban coaching record. Now, the thing was, he was with okay, let's try this here. NFL coaching. Try that. Oh, he was with the Dolphins. He was 15 and 17. He coached the Dolphins for 2 seasons, from 2005 to 2006. He left the NFL to become the head coach at University of Alabama. So he was for 2 years, actually, right? Yeah. So he was 15 and 17, 32 games. So he coached for just 2 years. So the thing was, he had a losing record with Miami, but it was able to be there for a long period of time, bringing all the guys he wanted and all that. So. But it says in this article, apparently it's eaten at him that he as he said, so-called failed in the NFL. And that deep down he thinks he could have success at football's highest level. But when he was with the Dolphins, it was 20 years ago. He was 53 years old. Now he's 73. Somewhere along the line, you're going to have to give it up. Especially the temper he has. It's just not good for you. Yeah. Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin, who worked under Saban for 3 seasons at Alabama, said on Monday that he could see his former boss returning to the NFL. I kind of thought it might be the NFL for Saban, said Kiffin on Monday during an appearance on the SEC network, because he's so sharp skill. He's so sharp still. So apparently, but if Saban makes the jump to the NFL, the Giants or the Bengals would make a lot of sense if either job was to come open. Giants have some nice young talent, including a player and wide receiver Malik Neighbors that Saban loves. Now, that was one of the things, too. Last season, right? Daboll called before the draft. He called up Saban because he worked for him for, I think it was like a year. And he said, he talked to him. He's like, who you liking, like on the offensive side? And Saban brought up 2 names. And my God, if he was not freaking spot on, it's scary. He said the 2 guys that gave us trouble, Saban said it gave him trouble, was Malik Neighbors. How did he do last year? For a crappy team, how did he do? Pretty good. And the other guy was Bowers. How did he do for a crappy team? Freaking awesome. He said those guys gave him trouble. He was spot on. Spot on. So at least we got one of them, right? Who knows if Saban will really seek to return to coaching, but it's clear the Giants are one of the teams likeliest to be looking for a new head coach a year from now. Saban was a defensive coordinator under Bill Belichick, in Cleveland from 91 to 94. He was later the head coach of the Dolphins for 2 seasons. The thing is that, in 91 to 94, the Browns did go to the playoffs one of those years. I can't remember what it was. It wasn't 94. 94 was I think was their last season in Cleveland. I think it was. And the team was, kind of, I guess, in disarray. I mean, they knew the organization. I can't remember the idiot's name. I can't stand the owner, whoever the, and he took them and went to Baltimore, where they became the Ravens. Modell, but so it was either 92 or 93. The Browns went to the playoffs. They had a good team. They actually had a good team, and Belichick was the coach, right? And Saban was the defense coordinator. And they had a nice defense, too. So, I mean, he did a good job as a defensive coordinator. And, so-so job in the NFL. But I said, to me, if anything, I could see him, because he's so used to, the recruiting and bringing guys in. And he can get away with yelling at younger guys and all that stuff and everything. It's a little different animal in the pros. But who knows? I mean, because if Daboll were to wind up getting fired, I'm sure we'll have conversations with Bill Belichick, right? Wanting to come here, but we'll have to wait and see.